Great, that's... Today you are how? Class, hi! The learning target for today is to transform shapes using reflections. The scale, you're 3. If you can reflect shapes and find the reflection rule, if given the reflection. Alright, I changed that. That should have said reflection, not translation. So, you can reflect shapes and find the reflection rule if given the reflection. You're at 2 if you can reflect shapes or find the reflection rule if given the reflection. 1, you can reflect shapes visually or mathematically, but not both. And 0, you cannot reflect shapes. Let's get started. Alright, so here's our first example. Let's say we have a quadrilateral DEFG. Remember, a quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure. And we want to reflect it over the line y equals -2. Now remember back from Algebra 1, you should remember that y equals -2 is a horizontal line at -2. So I'm going to draw a dotted line. And this dotted line represents the line y equals -2. Now we want to reflect our quadrilateral over that line. We want to make a mirror image. So the easiest way to do that is look at each of our points and notice how far away each of them are from the line. Let's go in order. We'll start with D. D here is at 3 for the y-axis. So let's see how far it is away from our line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 units above our line, so its reflection will be 5 units below the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll put a point right here, and remember this point, since it's the reflection of D, will be called D prime. And now we can do this with the rest of our points. So E, actually you can already tell that it's the same distance away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be the same distance away below the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we have E prime. Next we look at F, and it's 1 point away. So that means it'll be 1 below the line. And here we have F prime. And finally with G, same amount, just 1, so 1 below. And that gives us G prime. Now just connect the shape with lines, and now we have our final reflection. Quadrilateral D prime, E prime, F prime, G prime. And that's pretty much all you have to do with any reflection. But let's look at another one. In this example, we have reflect the shape over the line y equals x. So the line y equals x would be a diagonal line that goes through the origin and goes up 1 over 1 all the way through. So let's draw a dotted line to show that. This one will not be so easy to reflect, because now instead of just going in one direction, we'll have to go diagonally to hit the line at the same slope as it goes, up 1 over 1 or down 1 over 1. So first let's look at D. If you look at D and we want to get it to the line as quickly as possible. So let's go in the same slope, just in the negative version. And we see here we have a dotted line that would go down 1 over 1 and hit the line. So it would take down 1 and over 1 to get to the line. So we do the same thing on the other side of the line. And we go down 1 over 1, the negative sloped line, and that will give us our point, D prime. Same thing over here with E, except we'll go up 1 over 1 and hit the point. So we do the same thing on the other side, and that will give us our point, E prime. Now let's look at F. Again, we need a dotted line of the same slope to get to it. However, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. That means it has to go to the left 4 and up 4. So then we do the same thing on the other side. Left 4 and up 4. And that will give us our point, F prime. And then finally G, once again, a dotted line of a slope of 1, so again we go over 1, up 1, and we get our point, G prime. So we have our reflected points, and now we just connect the dots and create our shape. And now we have our reflected shape. Quadrilateral D prime, E prime, F prime, G prime. It doesn't look terribly nice because it's on top of the pre-image, but if you look at it closely, you can definitely see that it's definitely reflected, and it's actually rotated 90 degrees as well as translated. It's just a different way to move the object in a different way, but it's specific, so it's a reflection. So what I just showed you was a more geometric way to do reflections. I'm more of an algebra guy, so here is what I think is easier, but some people may find it harder, the algebraic way to do reflections. So let's say we want to reflect a shape or a line or a point over the y-axis. So what we're going to do is, just like the rules last time we learned, if we have a point xy, it translates to the point negative x, y. So all that changed was we made the x value negative, and if it was already negative, we would change it to a positive. So we're just changing the sign of the x value, because when we reflect it over the y-axis, anything that was on the positive side now becomes on the negative, and vice versa. Similarly, with the x-axis, we take xy and we turn that into x negative y. Because that has it, if it's already above the x-axis, that means it's already positive y, and we want to change it to a negative y, and vice versa again. Slightly different with the other two. If we have y equals x, then xy will turn into yx. So if you have the point 3, 4, and you reflect over the line y equals x, you will come up with a point 4, 3. And with y equals negative x, xy turns into negative y, negative x. So not only do we switch the x and the y, but also we turn them both negative. So those are the two different ways that you can do reflections. These only work specifically for y-axis, x-axis, y equals x, and y equals negative x. If you have a different line, you would have to do the geometric method. But pretty much it'll be one of these usually, and you can use either method, but I do expect you to know all of them. Alright, now time for the sponge activity. So, graph the shape made by the following points, E being the point 32, F being the point 5, negative 3, and G being the point 1, 0. And I want you to do 3 different things to that shape. Reflect it over the x-axis, reflect it over the line y equals 3, and reflect it over the line y equals x. And graph each of those reflections. That's it for the lesson. Once again, please make sure to take notes on the entire lesson, attempt the sponge activity, mark where you believe you are on the scale, take a picture of your notes, submit them to Google Classroom, and have a good night.